Hello again, friends. It's me, Mr. Proft, coming to you from my guest bedroom here in sunny Santa Monica, California. And it is actually very sunny and lovely outside. Really happy with the way the weekend is looking. Hope you guys are having fun wherever you are. So we just read the book Have Fun, Molly Lou Melon, and we're going to talk a little bit about that story. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can share my screen with you guys. Click, click, clack, clack, woof, woof. Here we go. So this is one of the pages from the book. And in this book, we meet this little girl right here. Her name is Molly Lou Melon. And we find out that in the very beginning part of the story, Molly Lou Melon has a ton of toys, a ton of fancy toys. She calls them who's a whatsits of all shapes and sizes. So she has all kinds of toys. And her grandma, who we don't actually see in the story, we hear about her, but I think we don't actually see the grandmother. But the grandmother says, hey, you know what? Back in my day, we didn't have all these fancy dancy toys that you have to buy, in a store. We used to make our own toys. And that seems like kind of an interesting idea to Molly Lou Melon. So what she ends up doing is she ends up making some of her own toys, and she uses things that she finds around the house, and she also uses a lot of her own imagination. She makes her own dolls, and we see a picture of that. It looks like she's taken a bunch of flowers and some string and some scissors and some tape, and she's taken some things that she has and she's decorated it with flowers that she found outside. So she took something that was, an ordinary plain old plastic store-bought toy, and she made it kind of special using stuff that she found and, again, her own imagination. And then Grandma talks about how, well, in my day, we didn't have fancy, Barbie dream houses that we would buy. We would make our own doll houses. And that's what she does, too. She makes her own dollhouse in the backyard. I don't know what this big green thing is. It might be a giant blanket, or it could be, I don't know what that's made of, but she's super clever. And she made like a little dollhouse, and there is little action figures inside. That's the little elephant we saw in her room. So she made her own dollhouses. Grandma also talks to her about, hey, you know what you can do? You don't have to watch TV or YouTube or whatnot. You can just go and you can look at clouds, and you can use your imagination to make the clouds look like things. I don't know if you've ever done that, but if you go out to a place where you can see the sky and there are little clouds, and you're nice and still and you look up, you can kind of imagine that the clouds look like things, look like pillows, look like stuffed animals. Sometimes they look like people. And here she is lying out in a field looking up at the sky, and she's imagining that the clouds are dragons or rabbits or bicycles, or I'm going to guess that's Abraham Lincoln. That's kind of an odd thing to see in the clouds, but there you go. So she's learning how to use her imagination. So when I was a kid, here's me being an old man. Here are some examples of toys that I had when I was a kid, and I loved these things. I mean, these were super special. This thing right here is an ancient, that's actually a video game. That's a handheld video game called Merlin. It played tic-tac-toe. It was a machine the size of a shoe, and it only played tic-tac-toe. But that was exciting. This came out a little bit later. This is the Star Wars Electronic Battle Command, which, I mean, today is not the greatest video game, but back at the time it was special. And of course, I loved my Star Wars toys. I'm old enough that I got to play with the very first Star Wars toys that came out in the 1970s. They were very special to me. But as cool as all these things were, really, I think some of the funnest things I did when I was a kid wasn't me playing with toys. I think just goofy things that my friends and I would do. Stuff like this, like taking a laundry basket and nailing it to a skateboard and rolling down the hill. Now, that's not a store-bought toy. That's something that you're just doing kind of with your own imagination. You're using your imagination to imagine that, you're a race car driver or a bobsledder or something. But, to me, doing goofy stuff like that, using my imagination, every bit as fun as playing with fancy dancy toys. So in this story, Molly Lou Melon learned something. She learned how to use her imagination, and her grandma sort of taught her how to use her imagination to have fun. So I want you to think about something someone has taught you how to do. Think of something that somebody taught you how to do. What is something that someone taught you how to do? Like maybe you have somebody who taught you how to cook. Maybe you have somebody who taught you how to make a bed, right? Or maybe someone taught you how to sew. I don't know. Maybe that happened. So think about something that you learned from somebody else. Think about something somebody taught you how to do. And your assignment for today is to draw and label a picture showing something you learned how to do from somebody else. Maybe your grandma showed you how to bake bread. Maybe your mom or dad taught you how to ride a bike. Maybe you learned how to tie your shoes from somebody. But you're going to draw me a picture of something somebody taught you how to do, and you're going to take a little picture of that, and you're going to send it to me or Miss Dano. All right? Well, there you go. Now you know what to do, so you can go off and do it. So on behalf of myself and Miss Dano, this is Prof out.